Good.
Marvellous. Welcome everybody to the Vincent Community Board meeting for 19th of May 2023. First up, I do not have any apologies for today. And now move into the confirmation of the minutes from last time. Did you have something that you wanted?
Yeah, just in the members' reports, it said that it was the second one, the World War I exhibition. I didn't attend the opening, and I didn't meet with staff and residents at the half mile. So,
And I attended as well. Yeah. I think that would.
So with those amendments to be made, is someone happy to move? Thank you, Jalen, and second.
Yep.
Thank you, Tracy. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Then we move to, on page 15, the declaration of interest. Just a reminder to regularly check those and make sure that we have updated them as and when needed. And
Can
so, yes,
I
right.
add one to that? I'm in the process of being seconded by the Jollendale Park Charitable Trust to be a trustee.
Yeah, cool, like that.
Great, but for you, Roger. I'll be happy to have you, I'm sure.
Yeah, you can blame me for that.
Perfect. We now move to the annual plan submitters that wish to be heard, and welcome Dr. Barry Hills to the table. Lovely to see you, Barry.
Yeah. So I gather it's all about the ice and wine reef. Yeah. I mean, I'm really here just to answer any questions that there are from the submission, but to give you a wee bit of background, I mean, I've been organising the big McRae's competition up there, which is sort of major curling competition for the year for the Ida Council. Been doing it for well over a decade, and yeah, it's a big deal for the local area. I mean, on 29th, we've got 10 teams of 4 people on the ice. You know, it's 40 odd bods on ice, and each of them's paying 60 odd dollars a day, so it's good money going into the ice and wine coffers. And then that, at the end of that competition, which runs over about 8 to 10 days, depending on what Huey throws at us, for weather-wise, the 2 winning teams from that go forward, and they play the Nicholson, which is basically 2 teams from McRae's against 2 teams from the Naseby Council, top 2 teams there. So again, there's more time on ice, and you know, it's a big deal for us. Last year we had a horrible year. 3 of the 6 main days were completely wiped out by the weather. I'd be up there at the ice at sort of 5:30, 6 in the morning, trying to make a decision. You can guarantee that Murphy had put his boot in somewhere along the way and you make the wrong decision. And we've got guys coming from as far away as Gore and Arrowtown, and they've got to be on the road early to get up here by 9 AM in the morning. And so we had a lot of disruptions last year, postponements and even cancellations. So yeah, to me, the roof is really essential that we get that thing underway, and your guys' input to that, the help that you can give us, to get that funding underway. Well, most of the funds are there now, but it's just that tie-up, I believe. I think it's really essential that we get that underway, and it's not just for us; it's for the ice hockey people, it's for the skaters as well. It's for all those. There's a really strong social curling organisation there as well. That's going humdingers at the moment. And a lot of those people come on into the clubs like I have over the years and others, and so it's a burgeoning sport in the local area. Let's keep it going. So whatever you guys can do to help it. So any questions? Yeah, fire them at me if I can answer them.
Thank you, Barry.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any specific questions for Barry at this time?
I'll answer the call.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for coming in, Barry.
Yeah,
You're welcome to stay and hear the outcome if you like.
heading to Queenstown, so I'll carry on.
No.
We'll see you at some stage, won't it?
Indeed, Barry.
We'll be a flight at the time. Okay,
Great, thank you.
cheers.
Okay, we're just going to take a 1 minute intermission. We'll see if our second speaker is here. We might reassess if he does appear in the next few minutes, but in the meantime, we'll move to item 23.4.3, which is submissions on the 2023-24 annual plan consultation document with Saskia.
Good afternoon, everybody. Just a couple of words from me. Obviously, we take the paper as read. There was one item that this we consulted on, as we're all well aware, which is for consideration by VCB today for a recommendation up to council. We've heard from Dr. Wills just before. So the board today is to consider all written submissions that were attached to the appendix. So there's a couple of comments beyond item 9, but also the verbal submission that you heard just before. You'll note on page 21 of the agenda, and I won't go through it, it has the analysis from the consultation of the 175 responses we had. You can see the majority are in favour of funding for the item 9, with the majority of those in favour with the option 1 for the fully rate funded over 20 years option. There were 11 comments that did oppose the funding for item 9 and the detail in the appendix. So over to any questions and then deliberation by the board.
Thank you. Does anybody have any specific questions for Saskia?
Can I set clarification? The 0.76% rates increases on the ward part of the rates or the whole?
The board. Yeah. And it's because it's loan funded.
Yeah.
The first option is loan funded, which we repay that loan through rates over 20 years.
Good.
One thing I did seek clarification on, Saskia, and I'll just get you to confirm, was there was one comment, I think, on the idea that council shouldn't be paying for all of it and that the clubs and ice and line should be coming up with some of their own funding. And I just wondered if you can confirm that they are in fact asking for 28% of the total cost from VCB.
Yes, they are.
Thank you. So just a wee bit less than 30% is what they're asking from us. Tracy.
Just a question with regards, I mean, obviously there was some submissions from Cromwell as well.
Yes.
Has there been any discussion with the Cromwell Community Board, and is there any sharing of costs? I'm not suggesting splits, but I'm just saying, has there been any discussion on that front?
No, there hasn't been any discussion because this is a item for VCB to decide with annual delegations. So that would, and Susie can help me out here, that would require a change in the delegation with the property function, the grants function allocated to you, and we have Susan coming to the rescue. Yeah, and I think, Tracy, it's a really, really good point. The more of these facilities that we are supporting going forward at the cost that we're supporting, that we're going to have to look at perhaps some sort of sharing throughout the district, because we know that even people from Wanaka, etc., come over and use this facility. So it's a bit like the conversation that we're just trying to get into with the Cromwell Memorial Board. So it's probably something that will come up through the OTP, that at some stage you can, even though it's a ward decision and the delegations of there's different things that we can do through the rating law that we could probably portion some of that off through the district contribution for that recreation or activity. And we are going to have to look at that.
Thank
I
you.
think it's sustainable for the region, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, so on that front, is there an economic metric you've got around these sort of relatively unique facilities? Is there an economic metric to follow that, to say we know there's a spin off of 10% to the greater area, there's 20% to the territory region, 9% local?
No, there's not as such at the moment. However, that when I'm thinking, I can't remember whether it was Molyneux Stadium or Molyneux Pool, and it was before my first time round. It was what we called rings in the basin. So directly, those people in the Alexandra Township got rated a certain percentage, and then as you went out, was Trevor Gallagher. You might have paid 50% in the town, and then getting out to sort of 30%, and then the next there was 3 rings. Now that whole system has been almost districtised now, so we will need to do some work around that, and maybe it's around numbers going through the ice rink, and it's just it goes along the lines of a conversation that we're going to have around pools, where we're going to bring all the community boards together to talk about the level of service, etc. for pools, because we're too smaller area to have really, really different levels of service. So we need to do a bit more work around what the level of service is being provided to the outer community. But certainly recommending what does allow us to pick it up.
You know also that our listeners from north, whether it's Connell Terrace or Wanaka, pay ice and line.
Yes.
To get in, a fee to get in, right? So there is a user pays component, and again, it noted that we're funding less than 30%, less than a third of the total costs of this. That ice and line and its supporters have raised 2/3 of the costs from various trusts, grants, and which they've applied for. And this has been a long time coming to this group of people. They have been wanting this planning for this for nearly 20 years.
Yes, and they have, they did take on, I don't think they were helped originally, with BLT had one. BLT originally funded them for sort of design things and just gave them a lump sum to go away and design something. So of course, what did they design? They designed a $12 million Olympic ice skating stadium. So it's been quite a long process with that team. I've had to be late to every single one of the meetings to actually try and break it down into sustainable elements of the project. So that's why it's come back to the fact that the head exchange was number 1. They could mobilise the curling sector, so that was number 2. And then this was the final part, which was actually the part that they wanted in the first place. But things come to those that wait.
Does anybody have any other?
Oh, so just to add on the comments from outside of the board, that happened with the LTP consultation items, so just the way Let's Talk's set up. Those that want to submit to the Cromwell Community Board would go through and answer the survey. So I think we just going to Susan's point about we need to really understand it. It could just be that the survey was in front of them, but they had some stuff in the Cromwell rule that they want to put in the comments. So we just need to be a little bit careful with the interpretation around the Cromwell rule and other rules with this item.
Any other questions?
I think just a couple of questions around the recommendations. We are recommending the council, because council will have the final decision on this, won't they? As opposed to us. So that's okay. So then I'd like to move A and B.
It does have some draft recommendations ready, where the board.
Yeah, and C is the preferred option, correct? Yeah, if that's one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, perhaps we might like to get that up on the board and then we can discuss it.
So, so what we put together, just in advance is just a slight change to be, just to acknowledge the submissions that have been, presented, today. And then, I guess, looking at the report, the four various, options that were in the report, and then the board could, pick one or, make a hybrid of one of those, and then we'll put that in the suit.
Well, SC, I'd recommend to council that the roof for the ice line be funded by option one in the report, fully funded, rate funded over 20 years.
So if you'd like to put that one in there and Marty's happy to move those.
Move that.
Just the chair, just that slight change to B, you still do need to consider, so what Susan and I are thinking is B becomes acknowledges and considers the submissions.
Certainly.
Yeah, okay. Well, I've moved B, so I'm happy with that change.
Okay. And then C being recommends to council that the ice and line be funded by option one in the report, fully rate funded over 20 years. Would somebody like to second those recommendations? Thank you, Roger. Now, discussion. Would we like to go around the table? Has anybody got further comment to make about it? Roger?
This has been hanging around for so long, so it'd be great to see it pushed in place. And I think we're very proud to see a roof over that ice rink.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Right. Done.
I agree with Roger.
Now, Liz, Martin, anything further?
Yeah, yeah.
Tracy?
100% support.
Second?
It's taken so long, let's just get it done.
Great, thank you. And I would just like to acknowledge the submissions that we received from people who I have never seen submit before. And I was really pleased to see what appears to be a new demographic of council submitters on annual planning consultations, and look forward to seeing those people submitting to the ATP as well.
Here.
So, all those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Now, on that, we can move to through page number 35. Yeah, I'm just finding what the date is. Scrolling. The date of the next meeting, which will be the 12th of June 2023. And on that note, the meeting is now closed. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you, staff, for your time and effort on this.
Okay.